used to work at a hotel and I use the word work loosely. It was more of an inn that was in a sleepy beach town in Southern California, but it had plans to be part of someone's chain hotels or something. The property was small but in a seriously idealistic location, so it was close enough to the water to be expensive, but not big enough to have more than one front desk employee working at a time. My sister and I worked there together, and we shared one manager. Aside from the housekeeping, they got to leave a lot sooner than the unfortunate front desk who worked nights. I used to work mornings, which is a lot more hectic considering checkouts at this particular property were tough. Plus we didn't have a lot of things like dishwashers, so you had to wash everything by hand. My sister worked the nights and I took the mornings, but I didn't mind the extra work. Only because I didn't feel safe in the hotel at night. The area didn't have a lot of crime, it's just something about the way the front desk area looked. We had the front desk, and in front of it would be the breakfast area. It had tons of windows. It was more window than wall, and you could see easily out into the ocean and into the garden, as well as the stairs that came up into the lobby. In the daytime, it was really charming, but at night, it always felt unsettling to me, especially since if you worked the night shift, you had to stay till 11 PM at night. You weren't allowed to close the front door. Now again, this wouldn't be a big deal, but we had no security. We had no cameras and not even housekeeping. It was just you, by yourself, with this black void to look out to while you counted down your hours until you could go home. One night, I had been stuck with a night shift, covering for my sister. I didn't have my uniform or anything. It was kind of unexpected. For whatever reason, I decided to close the lobby door. I'm glad I did. The door wasn't locked, so any late-night customers could come in, but none did that night. It had finally hit 11 and I was super relieved to get off. I began my end-of-shift duties, rolling the day, setting up for breakfast, etc. When I had finished everything, I grabbed my keys and turned to turn off the lights before leaving, when the phone rang. My gut tensed for a second, only because it was so loud, and I was surprised. We were supposed to forward the calls to our manager's phone, in case someone got locked out of their room and we had to come down and help them. I pretty quickly calmed myself down, because I was more annoyed than anything, and stepped around the desk to answer the phone. I gave the, "Thank you for calling, this is how can I help you?" line as best as I could for being annoyed, that is. At first, there was nothing. No one said anything. I said hello and asked if anyone was there. I thought it was a dead call or a butt dial, but I could hear the ocean on the other side. It was a particularly windy night, so the waves were louder than usual. But they didn't answer, so I then just hung up. When I went to leave again, the phone rang a second time. I picked up, gave the same line, and I finally got a response.
"Are there any rooms available?"
He didn't sound drunk. If anything, he sounded collected. The place was next to a bar, so if it was just some drunk dude, I would have known. He sounded calm, like unnervingly calm. "Oh, I'm sorry sir, we're actually closing for the night," I responded. It's not uncommon for people to find our hotel on like some Priceline type thing and try to get us to give them a lower price over the phone. What he continued to say, however, really scared me. And I don't scare easy.
"Oh, so none are available?"
"Sorry, no, actually, we're closing."
"What about the one you're standing in front of?"
I immediately froze. See, how the lobby is set up is that there's a door also behind the counter. That door leads to another room that is directly behind the lobby. We're not allowed to close that one either, but I had left it open just in case anyone needed help. All of the rooms are outside, like it's not within a contained space. All the halls that lead to other rooms and staircases are outside, so anyone can just walk up and walk around the hotel without being a guest or an employee. So quite literally, anyone can just come off the street and be anywhere in the hotel. It's one of the reasons why I left in the end. I turned and closed the door behind me, locking it. The front door was already closed as well. No sir, we're all booked up. If there's anything you need, you'll have to call back in the morning." I was noticeably more scared now. I think my voice even cracked. I was going to hang up before he said something else.
I like your tiger.
He said this in the creepiest, most slithering voice I think I've ever heard. As I said before, I wasn't wearing my uniform that day. I had a grey shirt that this rainbow paint splatter type tiger face was on the front of. I stared out into the windows before it really hit me. The lights inside the lobby lit it up so you could see inside of it, while from being inside, you just saw nothing but blackness. He was outside of the lobby, probably most likely staring in through the glass. I didn't get to say anything before he asked,
Is the front door locked?
I threw the phone out of my hand and ran around the desk, locking the deadbolt on the front door. I began to, what I assume, was have a panic attack. I was crying and freaking out. I had never been so scared at one time in a really long time. Then banging came from the door, really aggressively and angrily. I was too afraid to grab the phone that I had thrown. It had been flung across towards the windows. I didn't know if it was broken or not either, so I grabbed my cell phone and locked myself into the bathroom that was right next to our desk. I called my aunt, who lived less than a mile away. I know I should have called the police, but I was really young at the time, and I was out of my mind. Plus, she was a black belt, so I knew that she could defend herself. I called her and barely was able to tell her what was happening between my crying and freaking out breathing. Normally, this shouldn't have scared me so bad, but I've dealt with stalkery type stuff before, and it felt like the exact same way as it did before. It felt nightmarish. It wasn't until she called me again and told me that she was outside the lobby and that it was locked that I had left the bathroom. I knew I made a mistake by not calling the police, because he wasn't there anymore by the time that she had gotten to the door, so I have no idea what he looks like, and our policy of never keeping the door closed didn't change, even after I had reported to the owners what happened. I have had some issues with safety after that, but none as scary as this one. If it was some drunk, it would have been fine, but he sounded like he fully knew what he wanted to do, whatever it was. And after that, I didn't work night shifts ever again. When I was younger, my friends and I went through a phase where we were addicted to going to haunted locations in our state of Colorado. This one place in particular, Third Bridge, had left me with some memories that I'll never forget. I'm going to tell you of the two experiences that happened to me that made me a believer. A little background about this place first though. My friends and I were researching haunted areas in Colorado that we could go to that weren't too far to drive to, and we came across Third Bridge. Legend has it that Native Americans were slaughtered there. Also, teens have died in car accidents at the bridge looking for a scare. You can look this place up to verify the information that I'm telling you. To get to this place, you have to take County Line Road, basically all the way into the middle of nowhere. Farmhouses are spread out a great distance from each other. There's no streetlights either. It's pitch black if you turn your headlights off. Eventually the road turns into dirt, and you can take the road until you get to the hill. Once you drive up the hill and get to the top, your headlights illuminate a scene straight out of a horror movie. At the top of the hill, you can see the bridge, which looks really old and beat up. It's a concrete bridge, and you can just tell it's been there for a long time. The creek that runs under is completely dried out. The bridge is surrounded by these huge, scary-ass trees. They look evil at night, if that makes sense. Just being on that hill, looking down at that scene, dread just overwhelms you. The very first time my friends and I went to this place was probably the scariest. It was 4 of us in my Toyota 4Runner. We find County Line and eventually make it to where it turns into a dirt road. As soon as the road changed to dirt, we all got this feeling that something bad was going to happen. Like we had made a mistake deciding to come here. We make it to the top of the hill and I just stop. We are all just sitting there, looking in every direction. still deciding if we really want to drive down to the bridge. We hadn't been sitting there for more than 2 minutes when I see, at the foot of the bridge below us, a tall, dark figure just standing there. I knew that it was staring at us. You could feel it. It had no facial features. It was just this solid black figure. You could tell it was a person though. I looked at my friend in the passenger seat and asked him if he was seeing this right now. And all he said was, yeah, with this terrified look on his face. I look in the back to see my other 2 friends holding each other, staring at this thing, their boyfriend and girlfriend. As I return my focus back to this thing, it started sprinting at us. Once it started running, something was waving on this thing at about foot level, like it was wearing a damn cape or something. I put the SUV in reverse and got the hell out of there. We didn't even make it to the bridge. After we had told all of our friends about what had happened, a few others wanted to go and check it out with us. So I smartly agreed to go there again. The couple I had went with the first time didn't want to go this time, and I can't blame them. My other friend though, surprisingly, was down to go. So I loaded up my vehicle again with a full crew and we headed out. Fast forward to the top of the hill. Fortunately, Shadow Man wasn't there again, so we slowly made our descent down to the bridge. I park my vehicle on the bridge, turn it off, roll the windows down a little, and we sit in total darkness. The whole time we had this feeling like we were being watched or something. Our eyes had adjusted to the dark, and just looking out there was terrifying. With nothing really spooky happening, I turned the car on and we drove to the end of the bridge to turn around so that we would be facing the exit in case anything happened and we wanted to leave in a hurry. So, same thing, I park and turn the car off. We sat there for probably 10 minutes and nothing happened. I was a bit disappointed because I wanted my other friends to see and believe what my first friends and I saw. But before we left, my friend in the back seat suggested that we go under the bridge. Nowadays, I would say nope right away, but I was eager for something to happen. We all get out of the car and make our way to the railing to step over it to get to the land under the bridge. We didn't even walk 2 feet when we all heard this blood-curdling scream. It was a woman and it sounded like she was being butchered. The scream gave out this horrible feeling of dread and evil. Fear took over my body and I started to tear up. We all booked it like track stars back to my car and got the hell out of there. And we haven't been back since. I dropped all my friends off and just went home. I got out of the car and went around my vehicle to just do a quick check of the tires and everything. I get to the back window where dirt had kicked up on it, and there, on the window, were 2 handprints. One on top of the other. It was like the handprint on the bottom was reaching out for the car and something dragged it away.